clear that this is a constitutional appointment, because he actually says that pursuant to the provisions of Article 150, a vacancy has arisen in the office of the Deputy President. So in essence, Your Lordship and my lady, this is a constitutional vacancy and a constitutional appointment that was subject to the provisions of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act. And Section 3 of that Act says that the exercise of powers of appointment. So an appointment under this Constitution, that is Section 3, an appointment under this Constitution or any other law for which approval of Parliament is required shall not be made unless the appointment is approved or deemed to have been approved by Parliament in accordance with this Act. So, Your Lordship, it is clear that the appointing authority in this case was the President. So after appointing Professor Kindiki as a nominee for the position of the Deputy President, it was subject to the application of this Act. And as I said, Your Lordship, the memo complied completely in all aspects with this Act, save for public participation. So, and Section 5 also provided for notification of nomination. And it says that an appointing authority shall, upon nominating a person for appointment to which this Act applies, shall notify the relevant House of Parliament. So it is through this presidential memorandum of nomination that Parliament was notified of this appointment of Professor Kindiki. And it further says that a notification of appointment shall be accompanied by information concerning the nominee having regard to the issues mentioned under Section 7. So, Your Lordship, I am sure that you will have an opportunity when you retire to examine this presidential memorandum. And in fact, it does highlight that the President says that for reasons whereof I have enclosed the following documents, and which Senior Counsel Paul Muite said that it was done in an ungodly speed. So, Your Lordship, I want to reiterate that the essence of this Act was provided by Parliament so that it provides safeguards, especially on the issue of public participation, where the citizens will be given an opportunity for them to give views on the new nominee. And that is the procedure even in terms of the appointment of cabinet secretaries and all the appointments that are made under the Constitution. And Section 6, which is the most important part, it says that the committee, Section 6(4), approval hearing. So the committee shall notify the public of the time and place for holding an approval hearing at least 7 days prior to the hearing. So, Your Lordship, 7 days prior to the date of the hearing. Your Lordship, of course, from what we've heard is that the impeachment was done on the 17th of October, and on the next day, that is when the President forwarded this memorandum of appointment. So, Your Lordship, from that moment, the law requires that before the approval was done, the public had to have been given a notice of at least 7 days. So, Your Lordship, and the President further says, in forwarding this nomination, that, and he quotes Article 149 of the Constitution, which says that within 14 days after a vacancy in the office of the President arises. So, Your Lordship, within 14 days, of course, this was done within a few hours. It was, the impeachment was done at night, and in the morning, the President did this act. So the President shall nominate a person to fill the vacancy, and the National Assembly shall vote on the nomination within 60 days after receiving it. So, Your Lordship, under Article 149, the Constitution gave 60 days for Parliament to consider the appointment of the new nominee. And the reasoning, Your Lordship, is there are these documentations that have been given by the President forwarding the nominee, Parliament was under an obligation to consider those documents within a period of 60 days. Your Lordship, by midday on 18th of October, Parliament had already voted on the issue of appointment of Professor Kindiki in complete disregard of Section 6(4) that required the public was to be given at least 7 days so that they can give their issues in terms of the suitability of the Deputy President nominee. Your Lordship, but obviously that was not done. And Your Lordship, I'll also now refer to the response that the National Assembly, either